They warned us it could happen, and now it is. Localised restrictions on households in Greater Manchester, along with East Lancashire and parts of West Yorkshire. And for all of England, a postponement to activities which were going to be allowed from tomorrow, like limited sports crowds, including racing at Glorious Goodwood, and wedding receptions for up to 30 people. The Prime Minister says the figures show the virus is rising for the first time since May.
With those numbers creeping up, our assessment is that we should now squeeze that brake pedal in order to keep the virus under control.
For another 2 weeks at least, casinos, bowling alleys and skating rinks must stay closed. Indoor performances won't be allowed. Pilots of larger crowds in sports venues and conference centres won't take place. And wedding receptions of up to 30 people will not be allowed. It is a hammer blow for Amanda Kellett and fiancé Chris, who are getting married in Grimsby next weekend.
I'm devastated, I'm frustrated, feeling slightly angry. We will still get married. We've waited a long time to get married, but now we will have to get married with face coverings in order to comply with the law.
The Prime Minister says he appreciates it's tough, and he had this message for those areas with extra restrictions.
I know how hard it is to have restrictions like this imposed on seeing your family and your friends. But we have to act rapidly in order to protect those we love.
There's been a tension between the science and the politics, but the pressure is on to get schools back in September.
But we have to be realistic about this. The idea that we can open up everything and keep the virus under control is clearly wrong. And what we're seeing is that we are at the outer edge of what we can do, and therefore choices will need to be made. But people, I think, are very clear, for example, that schools are an absolute priority for the welfare of children.
The message of lockdown in March, April and May was clear. Since then, it's got complicated and in some cases messy. One epidemiologist told me the British strategy has been high risk.
We did lockdown very late and we lifted lockdown very early when community transmission within the UK was actually very high. And this is an entirely predictable series of events, I think, that most public health experts saw coming.
Clear messaging is key, and the Prime Minister had a new favourite phrase today.
To sum it up in a nutshell, it's hands, face, space, hands, face, space, hands, face, space. I think I repeated that often enough.
Simon Viger, 5 News.
Well, Simon Vigard joins me now from Westminster. Simon, tougher local restrictions in the north, pausing the lifting of the lockdown in England. This all seems really urgent, doesn't it?
It is, and the scientists are very clear. This isn't the second wave. We're still riding the first wave. Professor Whitty believes that. He said today we've reached the limits of opening up. And when you look at the stats, there were 2,000 new cases of COVID every day a month ago, and that has now doubled here at the end of July. That's why the Prime Minister is talking about squeezing the brake, and it's really bad news for all of those venues we were talking about, and also those communities in the northwest and West Yorkshire as well. You can sense the tension between the scientific advice and the political and the economic advice of getting the economy going again. But as you saw in my report, the Prime Minister's whack-a-mole strategy, as he called it weeks ago, does have its critics. And he certainly isn't talking now of this all being over by Christmas.